How do I replace angry conflict at home with peace and calmness? Are you ready for a more peaceful environment at home? I've been helping families through our coaching programs for almost 3 decades, and it really boils down to 6 basic principles. Let's go over all 6. Principle number 1, everyone would appreciate more peace at home.
You know, this one's so tricky because it would be really easy to think, well, the instigator never wants any peace. They're always starting something, right?
And that word gets us into trouble too. They're always starting something.
Yes. But I think that it's really important to, if you can step back far enough and take control of the way that you're reacting, you will find out that the way that they're bringing about the anger, even though they're responding in kind of an angry way all the time, what they really wish for is that they weren't mad all the time. They weren't angry. They weren't in a bad mood. And so everyone does long for that peace.
Think of the times when you lose your cool. Is it because you wanted to?
Usually not.
No. You want more peace. You know, I was interviewing a teenage girl recently, and her mom had spent some time bringing me up to speed with all of the conflict that was going on, usually instigated by who? The teenage daughter, right? And I got her into a private conversation where I'm like, what do you want out of all this? And usually kids tell me things like, oh, I just wish my parents would quit controlling me or whatever, right? That's not what she said. She said, I just really wish we had more peace at home. And this blows mom and dad's mind because it seems like they're trying to stir this up.
Right.
If you'll just keep in mind, everyone would prefer or desire to have more peace in the home. That gives us a better starting place to work from.
One of the advantage of taking to heart principle 1 is it helps lead you into principle 2. If you can take the position that everyone wants peace, whether you've got all the data to support it or not, but take that position, then it kind of leads you into principle 2, and that is that you start with the peace or the calm from top down. Meaning,
top down.
Yeah, the parents are going to start there. And if you can look at your child who is being, in your opinion, unreasonable and angry, and assume that they want peace as well, then you can come at it from a place where you're going to project peace, project calm, and a de-escalating feeling from the very beginning.
As we think about the second principle, that it starts from the top down, notice that your mind is going to try to play some tricks on you. That, oh, this would be so much better if my kids would just
X, Y, Z.
X, Y, or Z. And you know what? It's tempting to think that because you're right.
It would be easier.
Things would be better if your family would shape up. But that's not useful because it puts you in a critical mode. They're going to feel judged by you. So bring it back to yourself. Assume for a minute positive intent, like you were saying, Vicki, but also assume that this behavior, whatever it is not going to change. And if it's not going to change, what can you do to create a more peaceful environment regardless of that? So principle number 3 is you don't have to change a thing. And that's good news because it's really hard to change everybody else around you or to change your circumstances. But you might want to change a think. Do you hear the difference?
I do.
You don't have to change a thing, you have to change a think. And that's good news because your circumstances are neutral. Then we would teach this all the time in our coaching programs. People get really attached to their circumstances and they say, well, of course I'm upset. Look what's happening to me.
Yeah, and it's really easy to gather data, evidence for what you are thinking, which kind of throws us back to some of the other points that the principles we're talking about. If you can assume, whether you're right or wrong, you don't even really know what's going on in your teenager's head, right? When they're angry, your spouse's head, when he's angry, you're not really sure. So let's assume, take your thought, they're doing the best they can, or my child is being, maybe your thought is even my child is being angry and selfish. And that's okay. That's what teenagers do. So you don't even have
Yeah.
to change it radically, but just give yourself a chance to think something that's going to put you in a position to show up in a more calm way. Remember, we're trying to take this angry environment and turn it into more calm.
This came up on one of our coaching calls just this week as a mom was describing the circumstances in her family. And we came to a little strategy. I just want to share this with you as it relates to this principle. It's a question. See, our mind is always trying to create meaning, and so we come up with these stories about what someone's behavior or what our circumstances mean. So the question is, what else might this mean? And when you ask your brain to go there, you can get it sometimes off of the track of whatever stinking thinking was causing the chaos for you in the first place, and back onto some alternatives that might create more peace for you immediately. And you didn't change a thing. You changed a think. We've got 3 more principles for you. Before we get to those, would you take a moment, if you haven't yet, and subscribe to this channel. Hit that notification bell as well. We've got your back when it comes to parenting.
Principle number 4, breathing prepares your brain for success.
Your brain.
Yes.
Look, your brain is an organ in your body. It's got 2 basic jobs: to keep you safe and to prove you right. And both of those get in our way all the time.
Right.
But what we're getting to is that keep you safe part. See, your brain is built in with personal protection that kicks you into what we call the fight or flight mode anytime you get upset. Breathing is the best way to turn that around quickly so that you can prepare your brain to do the other thing, which is thinking.
Right, exactly. Until you take deep breaths, if you've gotten already into that fight or flight, there's actual research that shows that the blood is not there in your thinking brain. It's gone to the back, and so the deep breaths brings it back in, and now you're prepared to move on to the next principles.
I've told some of my clients, breathing doesn't solve anything.
No, it just prepares you.
What it does is put you in position to solve anything. And that's going to be really powerful to keep the brain turned on.
So principle 5 is to listen, to understand, and then reflect back what you heard or what you understood.
Think about some of the recent conflicts that have come up. Remember, we're going for more peace in our home, right? And that's disrupted by conflict, usually because there's a misunderstanding or there are differences of opinion. And I found that a lot of times people don't even really understand each other when they think they disagree.
Something you'll hear a lot, though, when people say, well, if I stop and I just listen and reflect, then they're going to think that I agree with them, that I condone their behavior or their thought process or their plan or whatever. And this is, I think it falls in a lot. It falls into we fall into this trap a lot. I had a recent interaction with somebody that later I really, really, really wished I would have just stopped and listened a little better and reflected back what I thought I heard.
Yes.
And now it's left me 2 months later still wondering if I really understood what he was telling me.
And chances are you didn't.
I'm pretty sure I did not.
There are so many things that can get in the way of communication.
Right.
And we've got other videos that talk about some of those strategies around communication. I think at the end of the day, if you can remember that going into a communication, your agenda is usually to get your point across.
Right.
If you can shift that just slightly so that your agenda now, your purpose, is to understand that other person. And forget about being understood for a minute. Yes, that's typically what we want, but if you can change your motivation to simply understand, it's going to change the level of conflict in your home immediately. I promise. Go try it. Now, after you have listened to understand, pause before you jump in with your agenda. Pause and reflect that understanding back. And most people don't take this step.
And I think you need to practice it. I'm not good at this part. This part's still hard for me. It's a practice.
It's unnatural.
Yeah.
A little bit, because usually we just jump into, well, I think this or that.
Okay, I get it, but
Yeah, and does it really Do you really feel understood if somebody
Right.
says, I get it, but, or I see your point, but? Take a moment to reflect the understanding. Okay, so what you're saying is, and you give it back to them in a way that they will recognize it.
And you know what? Then there's another pause. Let them respond to find out if you got it or not.
Right.
You might not have.
You know, our little grandson, who doesn't even speak yet very much, he's got a few words, but we get to play 20 questions with him.
Uh-huh.
And he lets us know if we've understood him.
Yeah.
Do you remember we were sitting
Yeah.
around the table and asking, so do you want more pizza? Shaking his head. Do you want to go do this? No, it's a shaking his head. Do you want to take a shower? Yeah!
And he let you know you finally understood what I was talking about.
Ding, 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 ding. When that understanding connects, it's such a great experience, even for little people. So take an extra effort to listen to understand.
It really, if somebody's feeling understood, it goes a long ways to diffuse anger.
Right.
Long ways.
Okay, Vicki, I get to say principle 6, okay, because this is my wheelhouse. This is what I do the best. Keep a positive perspective. You know, you hear this all the time, how important positivity is. And for me, it gets way past the trite, fluffy, just think positive that you hear from motivational speakers or whatever. This is how to operate the equipment of your own mind. You don't always get to choose what your circumstances are. But check it out. You always get to choose what your perspective is about your circumstances.
You know, I'll say I've come to this one a lot as a mom. You know, I've come through parenting for teenagers. And although I don't think any of them were really, really angry or brought a lot of anger into the house, there were definitely times when there was anger going on.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I noticed for myself in this keep it positive is it was really easy for me to use my imagination to think that this angry kid is going to do this and this, and he's going to be ostracized and he's never going to get a really good job. And I would imagine a really miserable future. And that does not put us in a positive position. And when I would recognize that, none of the circumstances changed, but I was able to just change my position. You know, really that positive perspective is more of a positioning. Am I positioning towards negativity or, you know, imagining a horrible future? Am I positioning myself towards a positive that we're going to come through this and great things are still in store for us, you know? And that made a huge difference for me as a mom of teenagers.
Well, notice the first difference that it makes is in your own heart and mind. It's how you feel. But that's important because that determines how you show up. And if you're all nervous and predicting all kinds of negative things that are going to happen for your teenager, for example, then how are you going to show up with them? Versus, what if your position, I love that you picked that word, Vicki, because that's synonymous with attitude or perspective. If your position is, you're good, you've got this, then you're going to approach them very differently.
And it's got to be in reality. But so I think sometimes the whole position is this is kind of rough now, but we're going to get through this and great things are ahead.
Right.
You know, because sometimes it doesn't feel like it's all good right now.
You know, most teenagers turn out to be pretty awesome adults.
Yeah.
Most do.
Yeah.
So why pick a perspective that has you all worried
Right.
that something else is going to happen? I know it's a lot. There's a lot going on with parenting, but we've got you. You've got this, and we've got you. Go to the Parenting Power Up video series right here on the channel. We're covering all of the topics there to help you with the most important job in the world.